In the Corvus quadrant, the stars sparkled in space, seeming peaceful, but trouble was coming. Fleet Admiral Ted Case was on the USS ALCON's bridge, checking reports. The GXL aliens were getting ready to attack, so the Terran people had to be prepared. "Admiral, we've received new intelligence from our scouts," reported Commander Mia Thompson, the ALCON's first officer. She handed a tablet to Case, her expression serious. "It looks like the GXL fleet is closer than we anticipated. They're approximately 3 days away from our outer defenses." Case looked concerned as he read the reports. The GXL aliens were really aggressive and always wanted more resources. They had attacked Terran territory before, but this time it was their biggest attack yet. "We need to act fast," Case said, his voice steady but urgent. "Summon the senior staff for an emergency meeting in the war room. We don't have a moment to lose." Minutes later, the war room buzzed with activity. Holographic displays projected the Corvus quadrant, highlighting the GXL fleet's position and potential approach vectors. The senior staff, a diverse group of seasoned officers and tactical experts, gathered around the central table. "All right, let's get to it," Case began, his tone commanding respect. "We know the GXL are coming for our resources. We have to defend our territory and protect our people. Suggestions?" Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez, the chief tactical officer, was the first to speak. "We should consider a layered defense strategy. Position our smaller ships in the outer perimeter for early engagement. They can slow down the GXL advance while our main fleet prepares for the main assault." Case nodded thoughtfully. "Good. We need to buy ourselves as much time as possible. What about our intelligence on their fleet composition?" Ensign Sarah Patel, the intelligence officer, stepped forward. "From the reports, it seems the GXL are deploying a mix of heavy cruisers and smaller support ships. Their cruisers are heavily armed but slow, while the support ships are faster and more maneuverable." Commander Thompson added, "We could use our advanced drones to gather more data on their formation and movements. This will help us adapt our strategy as the situation evolves." "Excellent idea," Case said. "Prepare the drones for immediate deployment. We'll need real-time updates on their progress." As the meeting continued, the plan began to take shape. Case's mind raced with possibilities and contingencies. He knew that their survival depended not just on their technology, but on their ability to outthink and outmaneuver the GXL. After the meeting, Case and Thompson stayed behind to finalize the details. "Mia," Case said, his voice softer now, "we're facing a formidable enemy, but I have faith in this crew. We've been through tough times before, and we've always come out stronger." Thompson nodded, her eyes filled with determination. "We'll be ready, Admiral. Whatever it takes." As everyone got ready, the USS ALCON's crew worked hard. Engineers made sure the weapons were perfect, technicians watched communications, and pilots prepared their fighters. They were all tense but determined. Before the big fight, Case stood on the observation deck looking at the stars. He thought about the people they were defending and how much they relied on them. Leading was tough, but Case was proud to carry that responsibility. "Admiral," Thompson's voice came through the intercom, "the fleet is ready." Case turned, his expression resolute. "Then let's show the GXL what the Terran people are made of." The USS ALCON moved quietly through space, its smooth shape slicing through like a sharp blade. On the bridge, Admiral Ted Case and Commander Mia Thompson watched the sensors closely. The crew felt the tension as they waited for any sign of the GXL armada. "Admiral, we've got something," Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez called out from the tactical station. "Picking up multiple contacts on long-range sensors. It's the GXL fleet, just as we expected." "How many ships?" Case asked, his voice steady but urgent. "Looks like a full battle group," Ramirez replied. "At least 10 heavy cruisers and double that number of support ships. They're moving in formation, heading straight for our outer defenses." Case turned to Thompson. "Time to intercept?" "At their current speed, they'll reach our outer perimeter in 12 hours, she responded. Case nodded, making a quick decision. "Deploy our reconnaissance drones. I want detailed scans of their fleet composition and movements. We need to know exactly what we're up against." "Aye, Admiral," Thompson acknowledged, relaying the orders. The bridge crew quickly got busy, sending out advanced drones to gather important info about the enemy fleet. Case and his officers kept an eye on the data streaming in real time from the drones. "Admiral, the drones are picking up something unusual," Ensign Sarah Patel said, her eyes fixed on her console. The GXL cruisers are forming a tight defensive perimeter around their support ships. It's almost like they're expecting an ambush. Interesting, Case mused. They must be wary of our hit-and-run tactics. Ramirez, any weaknesses in their formation? Ramirez studied the holographic display, highlighting several points. Their flanks are less protected. If we can hit them hard and fast from the sides, we could disrupt their formation and force them to spread out. Good work, Case said. Commander Thompson, prepare a strike team. We'll send in a few of our fastest ships to hit their flanks and then pull back before they can react. Aye, Admiral, Thompson replied, a determined look on her face. Within the hour, the strike team was ready. 3 sleek Terran frigates armed with the latest in high-powered weaponry set course for the GXL fleet. On board the lead frigate, Captain Marcus Hale received final instructions from Admiral Case. Captain Hale, your mission is to hit their flanks and create chaos, Case said over the comms. In and out, no heroics. Understood? Understood, Admiral, Hale replied. We'll give them something to remember. As the frigates approached the GXL fleet, tension mounted on the bridge of the USS ALCON. Case watched the tactical display, every muscle in his body taut with anticipation. Entering weapons range in 10 seconds, Ramirez reported. Steady, everyone, Case said, his eyes fixed on the screen. The moment the frigates reached firing range, they unleashed a barrage of torpedoes and laser fire. Explosions erupted along the GXL flanks, their cruisers scrambling to respond. The Terran ships weaved in and out of the enemy formation, causing maximum disruption before pulling back just as swiftly as they had attacked. Direct hits on multiple targets, Ramirez announced, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. The GXL are disoriented, their formation is breaking. Excellent, Case said. Bring our strike team home. We need to be ready for their counterattack. As the Terran frigates returned to the safety of the main fleet, the bridge of the USS ALCON erupted in cheers. Case allowed himself a brief smile, but his mind was already on the next move. Well done, everyone, he said, his voice carrying a mix of pride and caution. This was just the first encounter. The real battle is still ahead. Thompson nodded, her expression mirroring his resolve. We'll be ready, Admiral. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. The crew of the USS ALCON felt good about their first move, but they knew the fight was tough. The GXL Armada was strong, and the battle was far from done. Still, every little win boosted their confidence. The ship buzzed with activity as the crew got ready for the big battle. Everywhere you looked, people were focused and getting ready. On the bridge, Admiral Ted Case and Commander Mia Thompson were planning their strategy carefully. Admiral, we've deployed all available reconnaissance drones, Thompson reported. We're getting continuous updates on the GXL fleet's movements. They're regrouping and seem to be planning a coordinated strike. Case nodded, his mind racing through possible scenarios. We'll need to leverage every advantage we have. Our technology, our training, and our tactics. Make sure every ship in the fleet is briefed and ready. In the ship's vast hangar bay, pilots and technicians hurried to ready the fighter squadrons. Lieutenant Jenny Park, one of the best pilots in the fleet, gathered her team for a final briefing. All right, listen up, Park called out, her voice cutting through the noise. We're going to be the first line of defense. Our job is to intercept and neutralize any enemy fighters before they can reach the main fleet. Stick to your wingman, keep your eyes open, and trust your instincts. We've trained for this, and we're ready. The pilots nodded, a mix of determination and nerves in their eyes. They dispersed to their fighters, running final checks on their systems. The air was thick with anticipation. Meanwhile, in the engineering section, Chief Engineer Rob Evans and his team worked tirelessly to ensure the ALCON was in peak condition. Evans wiped sweat from his brow as he reviewed the diagnostics on the main reactor. How are we looking, Rob? Asked Ensign Patel, who had come down to help with the preparations. We're good to go, Evans replied, his tone confident. The reactor's humming along nicely, and we've got all systems operating at maximum efficiency. The ALCON's ready to dish out some punishment. Patel smiled. Good to hear. We're going to need every bit of power we can muster. Back on the bridge, Case gathered his senior staff for a final strategy session. The holographic display showed the positions of both the Terran fleet and the GXL Armada. Commander Thompson, go over our battle plan, Case instructed. Thompson stepped forward, using the display to illustrate their strategy. We're adopting a multi-layered defense. Our outer perimeter will consist of our smaller, more maneuverable ships, engaging the GXL support vessels and keeping them at bay. The main fleet will hold a defensive line, ready to engage their cruisers head-on. She paused, letting the information sink in. We'll also have our fighter squadrons running interference, targeting enemy fighters and bombers. Our goal is to create enough disruption to break their formation and force them into a more vulnerable position. Lieutenant Ramirez chimed in. We've also prepped a few surprises for them. EMP charges and decoy drones. We'll use everything we have to keep them off balance. Excellent, Case said, his voice filled with confidence. We have the technology, we have the training, and we have the will to fight. Remember, we're not just defending this quadrant. We're defending our homes, our families, and our future. He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each officer. We've faced tough odds before, and we've always come out on top. This time will be no different. Let's show the GXL what it means to face the Terran fleet. The officers responded with determined nods and murmurs of agreement. The room buzzed with a renewed sense of purpose. As the final preparations were completed, Case took a moment to address the entire crew over the ship's intercom. Attention, all hands. This is Admiral Case. We're about to engage in one of the most important battles of our time. Each of you has trained for this moment, and I have every confidence in your abilities. Stay sharp, stay focused, and remember why we fight. For our people, for our future. Let's get to work. The USS ALCON and the Terran fleet moved into position, their sleek forms cutting through the darkness of space. The GXL Armada loomed in the distance, a formidable wall of ships bristling with weapons. Admiral Ted Case stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the enemy fleet as he prepared to execute the first phase of his plan. All ships prepare for hit-and-run maneuvers, Case ordered, his voice echoing through the ship's intercom. Stay agile, stay coordinated. We're going to hit them hard and fast, then pull back before they can retaliate. Commander Mia Thompson relayed the orders to the fleet, her fingers dancing across the console. Strike teams are ready, Admiral. We're waiting for your command. Case nodded, turning to Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez at the tactical station. Ramirez, target their supply ships. We need to disrupt their logistics and force them to spread their defenses. Aye, Admiral, Ramirez responded, locking in the targets. Case activated the fleet-wide comms. This is it, everyone. Execute the plan. Engage. The Terran fleet sprang into action. Squadrons of agile frigates and corvettes surged forward, darting in and out of the GXL formation with lethal precision. The GXL ships, taken by surprise, struggled to respond to the sudden onslaught. On board the lead frigate, Captain Marcus Hale led his squadron in a daring raid. All right, team, let's show them what we're made of. Hit those supply ships and get out clean. The frigates launched a barrage of torpedoes, targeting the GXL supply vessels. Explosions rocked the enemy ships, sending debris and fire into the void. The GXL cruisers turned their heavy guns toward the attacking frigates, but Hale's squadron was already pulling back, their mission accomplished. Direct hits on multiple targets, Ramirez reported, a satisfied grin on his face. Their supply lines are in chaos. Good work, Case said. Prepare for the next run. We're not done yet. As the Terran ships regrouped, the GXL fleet scrambled to reestablish their formation. Admiral Case watched the tactical display, analyzing the enemy's movements. He saw an opportunity and seized it. Ramirez, send our bombers in. Target their forward shields, Case commanded. We're going to punch a hole right through their lines. Aye, Admiral, Ramirez replied, issuing the orders. The Terran bombers, sleek and deadly, moved into position. They unleashed a wave of high-yield bombs, focusing their fire on the GXL cruiser's forward shields. The concentrated attack caused the shields to flicker and fail, leaving the cruisers vulnerable. Shields down on their lead ships, Ramirez announced. We've got a clear shot. Thompson, bring the ALCON in, Case ordered. We're going to drive right through them. The USS ALCON surged forward, its powerful engines propelling it toward the weakened GXL cruisers. The ALCON's forward guns blazed, unleashing a devastating barrage that tore through the enemy ships. The GXL fleet, caught off guard by the relentless assault, began to falter. Keep up the pressure, Case urged, his eyes blazing with determination. "We've got them on the ropes." The Terran fleet executed another series of hit-and-run attacks, each strike sowing further confusion and chaos among the GXL ranks. The enemy's coordinated formation dissolved into disarray as they struggled to respond to the rapid, unpredictable assaults. In the midst of the battle, Casey received an urgent message from one of the recon drones. "Admiral, we've detected a large GXL cruiser moving to flank us," Ensign Patel reported. "Ramirez, divert our bombers to intercept," Case ordered. "We can't let them catch us off guard." The bombers peeled away from their original targets and engaged the flanking cruiser. Their coordinated attack crippled the cruiser's engines, stopping it in its tracks. "Flanking maneuver neutralized," Ramirez confirmed. "The enemy is in full retreat." Case allowed himself a moment of relief. "All ships, regroup and hold position. We've made our point." As the Terran fleet pulled back to regroup, the GXL Armada retreated to lick its wounds. The hit-and-run tactics had worked brilliantly, showcasing the Terran fleet's agility and strategic prowess. On the bridge of the USS ALCON, the crew erupted in cheers and applause. Admiral Case smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "Well done, everyone. We've shown the GXL that we won't be pushed around, but the fight isn't over. Stay sharp and be ready for anything." Commander Thompson approached, a look of admiration in her eyes. "That was masterful, Admiral. The crew is inspired by your leadership." Case nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We've won this round, but we need to stay vigilant. The GXL will regroup and come at us again. We need to be ready for whatever they throw our way." The Terran fleet held position, recovering from the hit-and-run maneuvers that had disrupted the GXL Armada. On the bridge of the USS ALCON, Admiral Ted Case analyzed the latest intel, his mind focused on the next move. "Admiral, the GXL are regrouping," reported Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez. "Their fleet is still disorganized, but they're starting to form defensive clusters around their flagship." Case studied the holographic display, noting the positions of the enemy ships. The GXL Flagship was a massive behemoth, heavily armored and bristling with weapons. Taking it down would be no easy task. "Commander Thompson, we need to hit them where it hurts," Case said, turning to his first officer. "A direct assault on their flagship is too risky. We need to outmaneuver them." Thompson nodded, her eyes sharp. "A flanking maneuver could work, but it's going to be dangerous. We'd need to slip past their defensive line and hit their flagship from the side." Case's mind raced through the possibilities. "If we can create a diversion on one side, we can send a small strike force around the other to hit their flagship. It'll be risky, but it could break their command structure and force a retreat." Ramirez leaned in, excitement in his voice. "I can lead the diversion, Admiral. We'll draw their fire and keep them busy while the strike force makes its move." "Agreed," Case said. "Ramirez, take a contingent of our fastest ships and engage their right flank. Keep them occupied and make as much noise as you can. Meanwhile, we'll assemble the strike force." Within minutes, the plan was set into motion. Ramirez's squadron, a mix of frigates and fighters, moved into position to draw the GXL's attention. As they approached the enemy lines, Ramirez addressed his team. "Remember, our job is to create chaos," Ramirez said. "Stick together, hit them hard, and keep moving. We're buying time for the strike force. Let's make it count." With that, the Terran ships surged forward, their weapons blazing. The GXL fleet responded, turning their guns toward the sudden threat. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as the two forces clashed. "Admiral, Ramirez's team has engaged the enemy," Thompson reported. "They're drawing the GXL's attention." "Good," Case replied. "Time to move. Captain Hale, you're leading the strike force. Take the best pilots and fighters we have and flank their flagship. Hit it hard and fast, then get out of there." Captain Marcus Hale, ever ready for a challenge, nodded sharply. "Understood, Admiral. We'll give them something to remember." The strike force, a hand-picked team of the fleet's most skilled pilots, launched from the USS ALCON. They maneuvered with precision, slipping past the GXL's defensive line under the cover of Ramirez's diversion. As they approached the flagship, the tension mounted. "Hail to all units, we're going in," Hale called out. "Target their engines and weapon systems. Let's cripple this beast." The strike force unleashed a barrage of torpedoes and laser fire, concentrating their attack on the flagship's vulnerable points. The GXL flagship, caught off guard, struggled to respond. Its shields flickered and failed under the relentless assault. "Direct hits on their engines," reported one of Hale's pilots. "They're losing power." "Keep it up," Hale urged. "We're almost there." On the bridge of the USS ALCON, Case watched the unfolding battle with bated breath. The strike force was making progress, but the GXL were beginning to retaliate. "Admiral, enemy reinforcements are moving to intercept the strike force," Thompson warned. "We need to pull them out soon." "Captain Hale, status report," Case called over the comms. "We're taking heavy fire, but we've done significant damage," Hale responded, his voice tense but determined. "Requesting permission to withdraw." "Permission granted," Case said. "All units pull back to the main fleet. We've done enough for now." The strike force disengaged, their mission accomplished. As they retreated, the GXL Flagship drifted, its engines crippled and its weapons offline. The enemy fleet, disoriented and leaderless, began to falter. Back on the USS ALCON, the crew erupted in cheers. Admiral Case allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before addressing his team. "Well done, everyone. We've dealt a significant blow to the GXL, but stay alert. This fight isn't over yet." Commander Thompson approached, a proud smile on her face. "That was a brilliant maneuver, Admiral. The crew's morale is through the roof." Case nodded, his gaze steady. "We've shown them what we're capable of. Now we need to press our advantage and secure this victory." The Terran fleet hovered in the stillness of space, a silent testament to human ingenuity and resilience. The GXL Armada, though reeling from the recent flanking attack, was regrouping for a final stand. On the bridge of the USS ALCON, Admiral Ted Case prepared for the climactic battle that would decide the fate of the Corvus Quadrant. "Admiral, the GXL are pulling back to defend their flagship," reported Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez. "It's heavily damaged, but still operational." Case nodded, his mind focused on the next steps. "They're cornered and desperate. This is our chance to finish this. All ships form up and prepare for a full assault. We're going to hit them with everything we've got." Commander Mia Thompson relayed the orders, her voice steady and confident. "All units, this is it. Final preparations for the decisive strike. Let's end this." As the Terran fleet moved into position, the tension was palpable. Pilots ran final checks on their fighters, engineers made last-minute adjustments to the ship's systems, and gunners calibrated their targeting systems. Every member of the fleet knew the importance of the coming battle. "Admiral, all ships are ready," Thompson said, turning to Case. Case addressed the fleet over the comms. "This is Admiral Case. Today we stand on the brink of victory. We've fought hard and sacrificed much, but our resolve has never wavered. The GXL have underestimated us at every turn, and now they face the full might of the Terran people. Let's show them what we're made of. Engage!" The Terran fleet surged forward, a wall of ships moving with coordinated precision. The GXL Armada, though damaged and disorganized, met them head-on. Explosions lit up the void as the two forces clashed in a furious exchange of firepower. Captain Marcus Hale led the vanguard, his fighter weaving through enemy fire. "Stay tight, everyone. Focus on their weak points and keep moving. We're breaking through." The Terran fighters targeted the GXL's vulnerable ships, their coordinated attacks causing critical damage. The larger Terran cruisers engaged the GXL heavy ships, their powerful guns tearing through enemy hulls. On the bridge of the USS ALCON, Case directed the battle with unwavering focus. "Ramirez, concentrate fire on their flagship. We need to take it out of the fight." "Aye, Admiral," Ramirez replied, issuing the commands. "All units, target the GXL flagship. Fire at will." The ALCON's forward batteries unleashed a devastating barrage, striking the GXL flagship's weakened hull. Other Terran ships followed suit, their combined firepower overwhelming the enemy's defenses. "Direct hits on the flagship," Thompson reported. "Their shields are down and their main reactor is critical." Case's eyes narrowed. "Push through. We're almost there." The GXL flagship shuddered under the relentless assault, internal explosions ripping through its structure. Finally, with a massive detonation, the flagship's reactor went critical, tearing the ship apart in a blinding flash of light. "Flagship destroyed," Ramirez confirmed, a triumphant grin on his face. "The GXL fleet is breaking off." The remaining GXL ships, leaderless and demoralized, began to retreat. The Terran fleet pressed their advantage, pursuing the fleeing enemy and ensuring they wouldn't pose a threat again. "All units, cease pursuit and regroup," Case ordered. "We've won!" Cheers erupted throughout the fleet, the realization of their victory sinking in. On the bridge of the USS ALCON, the crew embraced and celebrated, their faces shining with relief and joy. Commander Thompson approached Case, her eyes filled with admiration. "We did it, Admiral. The Corvus Quadrant is safe." Case nodded, his expression both proud and reflective. "We've achieved a great victory today, but we must remember the cost and honor those who fought and sacrificed alongside us." As the Terran fleet regrouped and began to assess the aftermath, Case took a moment to address his crew once more. "Today, we've shown the galaxy the strength and resilience of the Terran people. We've defended our home and secured our future. Let this victory be a beacon of hope and a reminder of what we can achieve when we stand together. Well done, everyone. You've made history." With the GXL threat neutralized, the Terran fleet turned their attention to rebuilding and securing the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. The decisive victory had showcased the brilliance and bravery of humanity, setting the stage for a future where diplomacy and unity would guide their path forward. As Admiral Ted Case looked out at the stars, he knew the battle for the Corvus Quadrant was only one chapter in the ongoing story of humanity's journey through the cosmos. But with every challenge faced and every triumph earned, they moved closer to a future of lasting peace and prosperity. Chapter 7, Looking Back and Moving Forward. The bright stars in the Corvus Quadrant twinkled against the dark sky, reminding everyone of the hard-won peace. On the USS ALCON, the crew worked hard to fix the ship after their recent win. Fleet Admiral Ted Case stood on the observation deck, thinking about what had happened. "Admiral, the repair crews are doing well," Commander Mia Thompson said as she joined him. "We'll have the ship back in action soon." Case nodded, still staring at the stars. "Great, the crew deserves a break after everything. They did amazing." Thompson smiled at Case. "They were inspired by you, Admiral. Your leadership made a big difference." Case looked at her thoughtfully. "It was a team effort. But as we celebrate, we must think about what's next. We can't relax too much." Thompson understood. "Even though we beat the GXL, there will be new challenges. What's the plan?" Case took a deep breath. "We need to focus on making friends. We're strong, but lasting peace comes from talking and working together. We should reach out to the GXL and other groups. Building friendships is more important than just defending ourselves." Thompson was surprised but impressed. "You want to talk to the GXL?" "Yes," Case said firmly. "We need to show them we want peace, even after fighting. If we talk, maybe we can stop more fights and make space safer." Later, Case met with his top team to talk about what to do next. They were hopeful, but cautious. "Admiral, what's up?" Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez asked. "We won a big fight, but we're not finished," Case said. "We need to make sure space stays safe. That means talking to the GXL and others." Ensign Sarah Patel spoke up. "How do we talk to the GXL after fighting them? They might not trust us." Case nodded. "They might not, but we have to try. We'll send them a message asking to talk about peace. We'll tell them we can both win if we work together." Captain Marcus Hale looked serious. "Peace is great, but we need to be ready if they say no." Case agreed. "We'll keep getting stronger just in case, but we'll focus on talking first. It's risky, but it's worth it for peace." The Terran fleet got ready to talk to the GXL. They sent messages asking to meet and talk about peace. The GXL said yes, but they were careful. A few weeks later, Case and his team met with the GXL leaders. It was tense at first, but Case's calm attitude helped. "War is bad for everyone," Case said, "but we can make things better if we work together. Let's share what we know and help each other." The talks were tough, but they made progress. They agreed to share stuff, learn from each other, and help if someone attacked. Back on the USS ALCON, the crew celebrated. They were happy and hopeful. "We did it, Ted," Thompson said, using Case's first name. "We made things better." Case smiled. "Yes, we did. But we have to keep working. We showed what we can do when we stick together."